Holy mackerel. Already it's video number 3. This is great. This is moving along pretty good. I think what we'll do today is just check out T4, the first IF coils, or IF transformer, primary and secondary. And I think we'll go ahead and test out T5, the second IF, okay? And I think that we'll just call this video it when we're done. And then that'll leave the power transformer to be checked out, and I'll do that with a separate video. Power transformers always seem to have generate a lot of confusion for folks, and it's best, I think, if I do it as a separate video, and just do this one on the IF cans. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got, and see if these things are all that difficult. Trust me, again, they're not difficult. Here's the first coil right here, and it says right here it'd be about supposed to be about 27 ohms. Okay, so this thing, one end, these dotted lines indicate the can, the outside of the can. Okay, one end of this part of the coil right here is connected over to pin 2 of the 2A7. Pin 2 of the 2A7. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and connect one of my multimeter probes to pin 2 of the 2A7. The other end of the coil goes down a white wire and connects to one side of R4. That's R4 right there. And it's supposed to be a green and red resistor. That's, Atwater Kent he color-coded his resistors different from the standard that everyone else had. He had his own way of doing things. Everybody pretty much knows that. So let me go ahead and find R4. Might be a little bit difficult to see, but R4, here's a board that has 4 resistors on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And R4 is the second one up. And it says green and red, 3300 ohms. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now this one right here, R4, the connection point on R4 we want is between a resistor and a capacitor. They both come together at that junction right there. So let's see if we can find which end of the resistor is connected over to the capacitor. We're also looking for a white wire too. A white wire and a junction between one end of the resistor and one end of a capacitor. Let's see what we got here. Alright, there's the board. There's the board. Very easy to spot. You got 4 resistors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the second one up, there it is right there. It's green and red. Let me get the old light over here. Maybe this will help a little better. Alright, there we go. It's green and red. And one end of it, let me take a look here now. Yeah, one end of it is connected to a capacitor. Look at there. There's the capacitor wire right there. And if this wire turns out to be white, we're in business. That's our connection point. Look at that. Look at that wire turn white. Yes, sir. Just scrape off the dirt. She's totally white. Alright, we used our little picture diagram here to find the resistor. That's why paperwork and documentation is so important, folks. Try to get as much as possible before you begin your radio restoration and repair. It makes life so much easier. Alright, we're going to go ahead and connect this little baby right here. That's the connection point we want. Now let's go to the top of the chassis and see if we can't find pin 2 of the 2A7. Atwater Kent did one thing that I like. Now he may have had different ways of doing things, but he did one thing that I like. He stamped into the chassis the number of the tube. I like that. Right here, it's difficult for you to see. You probably won't be able to see it, but right there is the number 80 stamped next to that tube. This is the 2A5. This one over here is the 2A6. This one back here is stamped in the metal 58 tube, and this one right here is the 2A7. Stamped into the tube. Let me see. Stamped into the chassis. Let me see if I can get around here. Maybe we can see it. There, maybe we say there it is. Can you see that right there? It says 2A7. Makes it easier to locate tubes. What we want now is pin 2 over and down through the coil to the junction of R4 and this capacitor. It's a 0.05 microfarad capacitor. We've already got that hooked up. If we touch there, we should get continuity. Now remember, when you're looking at the tube socket on the bottom of the chassis, the pins are counterclockwise. Clockwise on the bottom when you're looking at them. Now, from the top, guess what? Just the opposite. Counterclockwise. Alright, let's go to pin 2 here. Now the two large holes in the tube are your starting, and the tube socket are your starting points. Boy, these things really let me blow it out here. Alright, those are the, maybe I'll see it better if I turn the light out. There's my two large holes, right there and right there. Pin 2 would be going counterclockwise. Pin 1, pin 2. Now let's see if we get a reading. Oop, my meter fell over. Here we go, here we go. Pin 1, pin 2. There it is. We got our reading. The coil is good. The primary is good on T4. Let's take a look at this secondary now. We know the primary is good. Let's take a look at this secondary. The secondary comes off the grid cap of the 58 tube. Now the grid cap has a wire connected to it, and it goes back to an IF can. This is that IF can right here. And that's that grid cap wire. Look at that thing. That thing is really mangy. Now, how did I know that? Well, right here it shows. You know, here's the 58 tube. Here's the grid cap to the right, and there's the wire coming out, going over to the grid cap on the tube. Okay. This is the grid cap to the right. That's the tube socket for the 58 tube because it's stamped into the chassis. This is the wire we want. So what I'm going to do is connect this right there. Alright, there's one connection. Where does the other connection go? We come out here, we come up, we come across, we come down and through the coil, back up to a capacitor and another resistor. This is R5, one end of R5. Out, up, around, up to R5. It's red and blue. Now let's go back to our handy dandy drawing. Let's find out where R5 is. Well, according to R5, R4 was the second resistor last time. R5 is the first one. Nope, you got to go back underneath again. Now before we go back underneath, you want to make sure that this thing doesn't roll over and touch the can or anything. So let's go ahead and get down real close to the insulation. Kind of bend it up there a little bit. I want that kept up out of the way. I don't want touching anything but what it's supposed to. Alright, again, a capacitor and a resistor connected together. We need to get between those two, right where they come together. Last time, let me see here, last time, get the light over here a little better, there we go. Last time R4 was this one. This is R5. It is red and blue, and it is red and blue. And there's the end of the resistor. This end goes to a wire, it goes nowhere. This end here is connected to a capacitor. Capacitor, connection, resistor. That's the junction we want right there. Pretty easy, really. Let's go ahead and touch that right there between those two and watch our meter. Touch. Look at that. Look at that. It is good to go. Alright. Our IF coil in the first IF can, or our IF transformer I should say, in our first IF can T4, ohms out good. Let's move on to T5. Alright, here's T5, and here's one coil, and here's the secondary. This one says it's supposed to read about 67 ohms. This one's supposed to read 400, but guess what? If it doesn't, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I'm just looking for continuity. Let's take one end of this coil and find out where it goes. Well, it comes up here and it goes to a capacitor. Well, it goes to another capacitor. Let's see what we got going the other way. Comes across down to pin 2 of the 58 tube. Well, that's cool. We can find pin 2 of the 58 tube real easy. Comes down through the coil. Comes out of the can. It's a white wire. Comes on down, comes on down. Goes all the way across, goes up to a resistor. Let's keep following and see where it goes. All the way up, all the way up. Oh man, look at there. Look at there, pin 3 of the 2A5 tube. There's nothing in between. No resistors, no capacitors. It comes out, comes around, comes down, around, all the way down to a junction point, all the way across, all the way up to pin 3. It doesn't get any easier. Now this is the 58 tube down here, and this is the 2A5 tube here. So let me set up the multimeter, the probes, and then see what kind of continuity we get. Okay, again, it's pin 2 of the 58 tube. And remember, from the top, we have to go counterclockwise, not clockwise. So the 2 large holes are right here. That's your key. And we're going to go counterclockwise. 1, 2. That's pin 2. Okay. Now we need to find pin 3 of the 2A5 tube. And the 2A5 tube is right here. And again, the 2 large holes. These are the 2 large holes. Counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3. When I stick this down in that hole, we should get continuity if that coil's good. And the coil is good. Look at there. I made it. How can this stuff get any easier? Alright, the last coil to check out, the secondary of T5, comes off of D2, which is pin 4 of the 2A6. Now you've got D1 and D2. This is the detector tube. These are a couple of diodes here, and I've got them labeled 3 and 4 because the diode farthest from the plate is labeled as 4. In this diagram I got on the internet, you can see that the diode here farthest from the plate is labeled as pin 4. Now of course they could be just the opposite, but I had to go with my best call on this. So we're going to connect to pin 4 of the 2A6, and then we're going to run, because this is one end of one end of this coil comes up, goes across, and hooks to that pin. That's why we're going to connect there. Then we're going to come down, follow it through, come out of the bottom of the can, this dotted line of a brown wire, and then it goes to a black wire down to one side of the volume control. You've got a brown wire, a black wire, and a red wire is the wiper for this volume control. We want the black wire. So let's take a look at it and see what we've got here. There's the red wire, that's the wiper. This is the brown wire right here. Pretty clean wire, I can tell it's brown. The black wire, of course, has to be all the way in the back. This one, way back in there. It's going to be difficult to get to. Well, in a case like that, try to follow the wire out and see if there's another place we can connect to out here. It'll make life a little easier. Let me see. The black wire. The black wire, the black wire. Alright, there it is. I can see it. It's coming out. It's coming across. Let's see if we can see it a little better without that light. Maybe so. I don't know. I don't think so. Let's turn it back on. The black wire is coming out. And it hooks right here. This is a terminal block. That's a terminal block that leads back to the connection on the volume control for that black wire. Same electrical point. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and hook our alligator clip right there. That'll be one. Now we need to go to the top of the chassis, as I said, and find pin 4 of the 2A6. Let's do that. Alright, right here is the 2A6. It says so right there, stamped in the metal. And we want pin 4. Going counterclockwise now, here are the 2 large holes. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. There it is. Look at that. We got a slight needle movement. And you say, well, how come it's not going so far? Well, it's measuring about 400 right now. Right about 400, maybe just a touch over. And the reason it's measuring 400 is because the schematic said it's supposed to read 400 ohms. There you go. Alright people, the 2 IF cans are in good shape. Next time we'll go ahead and do the power transformer. That's going to be fun. You'll like that. That always confuses folks. We're going to try to unconfuse everybody and show them how easy it really is. Some of you have made comments I haven't been able to get back to you. I'm trying, but you got to understand I got honeydews in the morning. I got my job to do. And when I get home at night, I have to load everything up and then try to get back to bed and get up in the morning early enough. And plus, I have to do all this. You know, I got to edit the program. I don't have time to answer everybody's comments immediately. I'll get to them, but believe me, I'll get to them. Right now, the priority, people, is trying to get through this transformer and these coils and things. Once we get that done, and everyone seems to understand what we did, then I'll answer questions and comments as I can. I just there's a whole bunch of you and only one of me. Then when I used to work in a jail years ago, and we used to have combative inmates, and one of the things that used to calm them down all the time was I'd walk up and say, "Hey, look, there's 12 of us standing here, and there's only one of you." And that pretty much registered, they would pretty much calm down. We always had the idiots that never did, but for the most part, they understood. So until next time, when we do the power transformer, I appreciate all the good comments. I appreciate you sticking with me on this. I appreciate all of you wanting to know these things, especially the folks who have never done it before. Good for you. I'm glad you're doing it. It's easy. I just proved it. Until next time, this is John.